think I'm good to go. If you can hear me, hey, I'm giving you an early mic test. Good morning. Happy holidays. It's Bradley McCalister, Santa hat and all. Monday methods on a cold, breezy December 20th, I believe it is. Good morning, Don. I hope I have all my gremlins and Grinch things from the electronics worked out. You guys will let me know, of course. I'm looking forward to today's project. It's going to be a lot of fun. My test piece worked out. Hey, Jeff, good morning. Finishing up Christmas gifts. Cool. I haven't even started. Got the Jaguars hat on. Bridget brought me out the Santa Jaguar hat. That's a good deal. So today's going to be fun, lighthearted. Not that that's any different from even too much in the usual checking camera angles. Little kind of holiday colors, working with the Chroma-Craft epoxy resin and SpinGems, and I'm in fluorescent colors today, holiday fluorescent colors. I've got green, red, some pink, yellow, but mostly green and red for the holidays. These are the fluorescent colors, and they have stopped producing them, at least for now. And I have X amount left, and it's not a lot. So I put a special on today for the Chroma-Craft Florescent SpinGems. They're 20% off. Flow 20 is a discount code in Spiracraft at the store. Just go into colorants and inlay materials, and you'll find in the mixed SpinGems, you'll find the fluorescents. There's like 6 of them, and I brought a little cheat sheet out real quick. There's orange, green, pink, blue, yellow, and red. And I've got anywhere from 3 of one color to, say, 8 of a color. And once they are used up, there are no more. So grab them while they're still here. They're fun colors to work with. As you can see, if I pop you in, should be the overhead. Yes. Oh, and it's got the key going on because of all the green. So it's going to be one of those kind of days. If I turn off the key, I forgot about the key in the green. You got a nice shot of the window there anyway. So I've got the fluorescent green and the fluorescent red in here. Things like that. Gonna have to remember the key all day long. I think it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, I'm watching 2 different screens there. So anyway, there's my intro with the hat. I'm going to go ahead and 86 the wonderful Christmas hat. Actually, I may keep it on, you know what, because it's actually pretty cold out here, and it'll keep my feet warm. So at least for a little while, hopefully I won't get resin. I'm going to keep this guy on, after all. Keep my feet warm. So here's the deal. I wanted to create a holiday candy bowl with the concept of a Christmas tree in it, right? Christmas tree being green and just some red around it. And I wanted to do it in such a way that I didn't mix the SpinGems, which are, I'm going to move this over here for a second. The SpinGems are polyester faux stones. So if I punch you up on the overhead here, and I got to adjust this guy a little bit. They are faux stones. Okay, and there are different sizes. I got to get to here where it'll stay in focus. There are different sizes, but so typically, what you would do is you would mix these with the resin and then pour into your mold, right? That's the standard way. Hey, good morning, Dwayne. Thanks for dropping in. You'd mix them up in, one of the mixing cups, which I got to get another one of. But you'd mix up your SpinGems and your resin in the different colors if you had different colors you wanted to use, and then you would add them, right? Good morning, Steve. So I had this idea yesterday. Well, I wanted to do the Christmas tree concept, knowing that it wasn't going to be exact because of the resin, but I wanted to lay out all the pattern. And if you saw some of the pictures yesterday, I laid out all the material dry, and I built up the pattern. That's what we're going to do again today. That actually came out better than I thought, surprisingly. And then we add the resin to it. So we fill the mold with dry materials. Good morning, Frank, and good morning, Joe. So we fill the mold without any resin. That's what I did yesterday. And then we add the resin to it, and we, instead of going straight to the pressure pot, because the mold is dry, and now the stones, they have all this air in between them. So my theory was, and it did work with a little prodding, is that we put it in the vacuum chamber, put it under vacuum. I've got 2 hours open time with the Chroma-Craft casting resin. So I've got 2 hours to pull vacuum on it, pull the air out, and pull the resin down into the material, right? Now, hey, Sue, good morning. So everything being equal is not always the case. So SpinGems, these items, all the different ones, they always sink to the bottom of the resin, right? Theoretically. They have a specific gravity that's heavier than the resin. Good morning, Art. I'm glad you made it. So they always sink, right? They sink, I found out, until you put vacuum to it. And now here's the crazy part. Only the green floated up. The vacuum, for whatever reason, when I applied the vacuum to this guy, and I know it's going to show you the back window and all that stuff. When I applied the vacuum yesterday, it started pulling the green SpinGems up all the way to the surface of the resin. And there was probably 3/8 to a half an inch of resin over top of them, and it lifted it up as it was pulling the air out. The other colors I had put in didn't lift as much. So kind of caught me by surprise there with the lift going on. And that's okay. I mean, that's why it's called an experiment. It's how we learn these things. Now, I ended up going along and kind of prodding it some with a stir stick, a popsicle stick, to make sure the resin was getting down into the bottom. So today I'm going to add a variant to it because I was worried about the very base. And I can do this one here because that won't do crazy things in the key. I was worried about getting resin all the way down to the bottom. And if I show you here on the end camera, I was worried about having resin make it all the way down to the bottom. And I still don't know exactly what's inside. But that was my concern. So I kind of poked and prodded here and there. All right. So what I think I'm going to do, well, no, I don't think I know. What I'm going to do for today's cast is I've already sprayed the mold. All right. And these, of course, are molds. You know me, El Cheapo. So these are molds from a microwave dinner when I don't feel like cooking, something I get from the frozen section at the grocery store. They're perfect. And now I wish there's a second little strainer tray in them, if you will, that keeps the juice separate. I wish I had kept that because I could use that as a weight to keep the stuff from floating, but I don't have one today, so we'll go without it. Anyway, what I'm going to do is, at first, I will go ahead and put a batch of SpinGems mixed with resin in the very bottom. That way, I am certain that that first batch has resin in it. Put it in upside down. Yeah, that'll work, Art. Yeah, resin will stay in upside down just fine, last time I checked. So I'm going to mix up a little bit and put it in the base just so that part of the equation is taken care of. And then I think the rest of it will take care of itself. Now, I have this one, which I'm, super pleased with as far as that. So we're going to turn this today after we get this one cast and into the vacuum chamber. And at the end of today, we're going to pop the new one into the pressure pot. Okay. Again, this is going to show crazy things on the green because of the chroma key. Forgot about that. But we'll work through it. So we will turn this as that other one is working away in the vacuum chamber, and we'll bring it up and down and show it numerous times. All right, so that's my plan. This vacuum chamber has kind of become a resin vacuum chamber. Lid's all good. I did have some spillover yesterday in it, and although it still was wet with stabilizing resin, some of the resin stuck to it, so it's just become a casting resin pot. If the resin bubbles over, and today I'm going to put a little bit less in it, it'll just spill out into the pot, which will then pour back onto the top. So we can just recycle right out of the pot here. I mean, it's only aluminum pot. They're 20, 30 bucks or whatever they are. No big deal. The money's in the glass top and the gauges and all that. So I don't mind donating this one to a resin project cause. All right. So let's get started with the project, and I'm going to set this guy off to the side for a few minutes, or for a while, until we're ready. And it is cold out here. I had the heat on. I didn't turn it on until this morning. So if you see me rubbing my hands, my dad, you like it? You like the hat, Dad? Hey, it's Christmas, right? I didn't turn the heat on until about 5:30, 6 o'clock out here this morning, so it could be warmer, but I'm okay. All right, that said, let's mix some resin. It's cold in here. The temperature gun says temperature on surfaces in here is 50 degrees. So our resin is going to go nice and slow. We've got lots of time to work with our resin today. I used 15 ounces of resin yesterday. So I'm going to make the same 15 ounces of resin today. Mix up the first batch. It will go in the bottom. This has already been sprayed with the mold release. So let's mix up a batch of resin. And there's my mixer. This is my cup here. Keep everything organized. This place is kind of crazy. And I'm going to have to walk in front of the camera because I need some more yogurt cups. So I'm going to pop that right there. I'm going to pop it in the overhead for a sec while I go over and get some more yogurt cups. I'm looking forward to having fun doing this again because first, I'm really pleased with the way that the cast came out after the fact. I had my concerns. I can't lie to you about that. And now I'm really ready to turn it as well. So, I love trying. You guys know that I love trying and experimenting new things. If they don't work, it's okay. I'd rather not work for me than not work for you. So I'm going to put out my usual 3 cups. And see, how am I going to have enough room to show all 3 if I take this chuck off? So you can see all 3 cups. Not that there's a big deal going on in the cups. Mr. Dixon, yeah, you like my hat? That's what my dad said. And, all right, this should be able to move over far enough where I'm trying not to move the headstock. You can basically see the 3 cups. Yeah, Doug, it's the Christmas holiday. I'm in the spirit, you know. I got a fresh batch of resin here. If I can hold on it with the wrapper on it. Again, here's the deal with the resin. So, room overnight was about 40 degrees. It's only come up to 50. And I forgot. I was busy doing other stuff. So heat wasn't on here. This resin should have been in the house all day yesterday and overnight to have it completely stabilized at a 70 degree room temperature. What did I get you? I've got something. I'm sending you something, Doug. I'm sending you a present. It might need a little work, but I'm sending you a present. But you're good at that. So I should have had this resin at room temperature, but I didn't. It was out at the warehouse on the other side of town. Ran out early this morning and put it over the heat vent in the house. And I've warmed it up. It's actually warmer than the room is out here right now. So it should be okay, but resin takes quite a while to actually stabilize as far as temperature goes. And just because, and I'm kind of breaking the rules here, just because I put it over the heat vent and got it up to 70 degrees in the house, doesn't mean it's exactly all happy inside molecularly, according to my friend the chemist at Chroma-Craft. Don just put it in a bucket of hot water. Yeah, Don, that'll warm it up too. But it's interesting, my Kevin at Chroma-Craft, he swears to me that it should really optimally be at room temperature for at least 24 hours. Even though you get it up to temperature, you might get it to temperature all the way through, as he explained to me, it still isn't as happy in the short, because it's been in a short-term state of that, than if it had been longer. On you, chemical background from the foams and that, so I'm sure you have a real good handle on it. I'm passing along what the chemist has told me, and so I'll take his word for it. And where should I put this that's not going to be lost or in my way? I guess I'll just put it over here in this mess. So, Jeff Peters, Doug Brad, get 20% off Florescent SpinGems. Got you 20% off. Yes. So you did get the code, Jeff. It is floating. All right. So as you can see, I'll pop in the overhead here. I've got it's going to be 2-to-1 for this resin. So there's my hardener there. I'll fill up my other 2, and then I'll just put this straight into my mixer cup. And the only additive that I'm going to make to the resin itself is going to be some silver holographic glitter, just to kind of add sparkle as it goes into the system. And I just go to the same point on each little cup, assuming I use the same brand all the time. This one needs a tick more. So there we go. Got to tell you a quick story, Chroma-Craft story. I was in a hurry about 2 weeks ago, ordering up resin, and Chroma-Craft has a gel resin, right? Has a gel resin, works on vertical surfaces and whatnot. Crackling sound increasing. Yeah, it's that old crackling sound. It's always something. Well, it went away last time, Don, so hopefully it'll go away this time. I ordered 3 gallon-and-a-half kits of gel resin instead of regular casting resin because I was in a hurry at the computer. And I kept waiting for it, and they said, I asked, where is that stuff? You guys are right on the ball. And I said, well, you ordered 3 gallon-and-a-half kits of gel resin, and I have to figure out how to make that up, get it together. Then I realized, oh, I didn't want that. I wanted regular casting resin. So into the mixer we go. And you guys, let me know if the crackling gets crazy. Like, let's say last time it turned out to be something we couldn't come around to. No, I'm not moving. Because last time it just quit on its own. So if it gets horrible, I'll go switch transmitters and receivers again. So I scraped this out real good. So again, the only thing that I'm going to put into the resin itself is some glitter, because the glitter tends to soak down to the bottom as well as the SpinGems do, but we're going to build up our piece in the SpinGems. It's quiet now. Good. Glad to hear that. There's always some electric gremlin, it seems like. I'm surprised it's not worse in here with all the dust and everything. So I did the little video clips real quick yesterday with the phone, with it in the with the resin in this vacuum chamber, and kind of bubbling. Looked like oatmeal bubbling. Don, you said it looked like something from Don Faulkner from a old movie, The Blob or something like that, and it did. It's kind of interesting. But I like the idea of the approach. So we'll see, how it works out. See, this is only the first shot. I don't know, in the very middle of it, it may not be, the resin may not have gotten there, but I think it did, because I did do a little poking at it with the mixer. Save that one because we'll be using it. Put that over in my special spot. And my other mixer fell over here. My assistant isn't here today to get all my pieces and parts for me. So a quick mix with my favorite kind of mixers from the Dollar Tree. Now we will keep an eye on this resin throughout the day and see what the temperature's like in it. And so as I mix it, I'm going to go ahead and add the glitter to it. Just the silver holographic glitter. And I'm going to put plenty in. That back over in the middle of things. And it's the focus is set up a little bit higher for the piece. So I'm putting in plenty of glitter. It's the holidays. We want lots of glitter. And we'll give this a good stir, and then I'll set it off to the side while we build up our colors in our mold, and then we'll stir it again. We'll scrape the sides real good now. So we mixed our resin at 1120. Just keep that in mind myself, 1120. When we mixed it, the temperature of the resin is warmer than the room because it came from in the house, is 69. It's going to actually probably cool off a little bit. So we'll just set this off to the side, just kind of down here. All right. Paper towel, clean up that mess. Time to make another little batch. And oh, I was going to do the dark color in the bottom. So I'll give that a real good mix, and then I'll make up a little bit of. This is my piece that I've already got mold release on. So I'll take and put some SpinGems. This is black for the base. I just add some. That's probably, I'll just take that's about a half a jar there. And that'll be my base, just so I know that I have plenty of resin in the base. All right. So we'll set that there for the. I need to give this another good stir real quick because I do want to use it after all. And enough resin to, it's kind of like making concrete. Think of it as though you're mixing concrete for a project, sidewalk project or something. We give that a good stir. And that wants a little, so I want that to flow out. I want to be sure that's there a little bit more. So this is the variation from yesterday. I did not do this step yesterday, and that's what made me the most concerned yesterday. So in the name of learning and trying and changing, that's what we're doing right here. And this will just assure that our very, very bottom, now this will just barely cover the bottom. This will ensure so that that very bottom layer has some wetted out, got resin to it. And we'll spread that out, kind of like a little mud pie there. That's perfect. That worked out just right. Good deal. So you should be able to see that. Sorry, it was kind of out of the camera there a little bit. Okay, and there's an empty jar of that. All right, so now one of the other things that I did yesterday, I love the sparkles of the glitter. I'm seeing this back in the overhead there now. I'll hold that up about where focus should be good. You can kind of see the sparkles other than the studio lights from the holographic glitter. Is there a way to speed up or slow down the open time, like with heat or cooling? To a degree, Jeff, you can accelerate or retard it by the temperature, the room temperature. It's got about a 2-hour open time at 72 degrees room temperature. So today out here being 50, it's going to go a lot slower. When I've been out here in the summer and it was 95, it goes a lot faster. So if you're at a room temperature 72, you can assume about a 2-hour open time. But yes, speed it up, slow it down by the temperature of the room. As far as actually heating the material, you can. I don't know what the ramification would be. You got to remember, you don't want to get it to. And I'm not a chemist, so don't quote me on this. But if you have too rapid an exothermic reaction, you can get some cracks and splitters if it heats up too fast. So be careful trying to promote that heat. And Don says, watch the humidity. And Don, that's right. Now, luckily, and I'm here in the South, this being epoxy, the epoxy is relatively impervious to the humidity. If I was working with urethane, it's a different deal. Urethane is much more susceptible. Again, Don, you're actually an expert in the field. The urethanes are more susceptible to the humidity than the epoxies. I haven't had too much trouble. I haven't had any trouble with humidity with epoxy here. I have had some crazy looking things come out using urethane down here. I mean, actually, it's made foam just from the humidity in the air. Okay, so there's our base. You know, back there again. Now, going to start building colors. All right, and what I think I want to do, I'm going to put something on the table here on the lathe. I'm going to try and raise this up where it's in focus a little bit better. That should do the trick. Let me move this to where it shows nicely in the camera. Just a little prop, okay? So that's a little bit better in focus there. So I'll start adding the colors. So again, we're staying with the Christmas theme. I've got fluorescent green and that's fluorescent orange. The two main colors I worked with yesterday were fluorescent green and red. And then I used a burnt umber, I think it was. No, I used a red oxide for the trunk of the tree, trunk of the Christmas tree. Now I'm trying to decide. I know I'm going to do another Christmas tree theme, another Christmas color theme today, but I've got a lot of ideas for this. Lost the downed. Not sure what you mean there, Mr. Doyle. Arthur Barber, I'm glad you like my hat. I'm going to do other things with this concept of being able to lay out colors, dry colors, and then add the resin, especially if it really does work consistently. I see a lot of potential for some designs that you can't get otherwise, because when we mix everything wet, it wants to... You lost the sound? Okay, I see sound on my system. Back now. Okay. Could be out there in the feed land. When you mix it like we have the wet here, it tends to want to flow. So that's why I'm trying this whole dry process of being able to do patterns, etc. in a piece, and then add the resin to it. All right, so on and so forth. So I've got fluorescent red, fluorescent green. I've got some red oxide. And the other thing I did along the way yesterday is I added pearl powders. And I just randomly added the pearl powders into the mix, just dashed them in there, okay? So I'll be doing that. And then I used a white, and I brought some more white in today, I think. I thought I brought more white with me. I know I did. I don't know where I put it. For the perimeter, to try and for snowflakes, theoretically, snowflakes. Now where I put the white, because I know I brought it, that'll make me mad. Brought it all that out. I brought it from the warehouse. I hate it when I misplace stuff. You know? Unless I didn't bring it in. I hate when I misplace stuff. Well, we'll figure that out. We'll figure out the white here in a second. Let me look around. I'm feeling the fool for a moment. That's empty. Let's get all the empties off of here. There's some white. That might be enough for what I need. I brought a whole nother jar of white into the studio this morning. That one's empty. That one's empty. That one's empty. When I get running around here just before time to get going, sometimes I misplace things. Hang on a second. I'm going to put you in the overhead while I go look and see if I left it over here somewhere. I don't see it. And one other thing I'm going to do, since I'm in the control room here real quick, I'm going to make sure, yep, everything looks good in the stream. I'm mildly nervous about the stream not being just right, but it looks good. Well, I don't know what I did with the white. I probably left it back in the house where I had the resin, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and get going with what we've got. So I'm going to lay down a base of red on the bottom. Oh, I see. I'm looking at the monitor now, so up on the bucket there, so it doesn't look too horrible. I work with whatever's around. I'm not real particular. So back into the overhead, and I'm just going to shake a little base coat of red in here. Again, the mold has been already got mold release on it. So how much do I want to use? Who knows? And I'm going to show you the basic idea that I worked with yesterday of building up the tree in the middle. And you need to build up the height because this being a bowl, as you carve away, you're going to carve away the center, and the outsides are what's going to be left, right? So let's go ahead and make this go all the way to there. I've got more different colors. Is that good grammar? More different colors. I'm just going to put just about this whole jar in here for this layer. I'm going to leave it a little lower today than I did yesterday to have a little more room for bubbly and expansion. Okay. All right. Now, this is not a perfect science here with the building my Christmas tree. I am going to turn off the chroma key so that you actually get to see the green. You could get real particular about this. I'm just going for the basic concept of a triangle, so to speak. And again, this green is what floated on me yesterday. And you could do a lot of things to try and make this really perfect and all that. What I found yesterday is I'm not sure it makes a difference. But I'm going to build this tree up as tall as I can get it till it starts to kind of fall down the sides, which will also make it spread out. And to give you keep you on the right track of my mind, I'm going to start adding some of the base of the tree, the stump, not the stump, but the base. So you get the general idea. All right. So there's the trunk of the tree in brown. So this is the process I went through yesterday. A little more green until it starts to fall away. All right. Then come back with and surround it with more red to keep that kind of in place. Now I'm about to run out of this. We're going to use some orange today too. And these SpinGems are in different grades. It's crushed to different grits, if you will. And that'll just kind of filter down through everything. All right. And that's the end of that jar. And we're gonna switch over to, it's going to be fluorescent orange. The orange and the red are close. They're not exactly the same. Now, here's one thing that I started doing yesterday at this point. I started taking pearl powder. And this is a gold pearl powder. All right. And again, without being all uptight, crazy and everything, I will use a little stick for this one, but so the concept of we've got a gold star on top of the tree. What we really have is we're just putting a blob of gold pearl powder, which is going to flow out with the resin, okay? But it gets the color, the concept of the color in the right area. Again, this is an abstract Christmas tree, as we'll find out later when I turn the other one. I don't know, it may be really abstract. But hey, that's cool. More green for our tree, because we've got some more orange out there now. So we can build this up some more. I probably don't really have to go super far, because knowing that as I take the middle out, You know, I'm just going to have so much. And it's going to move. I say, if it was the perfect Christmas tree shape, you know, I'd have it out here somewhere maybe. But knowing what I saw happen yesterday, it gets a little wild and crazy. Some other fluorescent iridescent colors. This is an iridescent red. It looks white. And I'm just gonna sprinkle this all around. And then in the resin, when the resin comes in, it will move around on its own accord. So again, very just willy-nilly, because it's going to move with the resin. That was some red, and I've got a bunch of them over here. That'll turn red. I'm going to put a little satin white on here. And you can see the swirliness in the other piece. So this is kind of the random part. So I'm trying to have control and being random at the same time. What's new when it comes to me? And all right, so we'll stay there. Another round of, it used to be red, now it's orange. I got to remember to build up my stump some more, because out here on the edge, that's what we're still going to see. And so we'd like to have our stump, or our trunk, I keep calling it a stump, our trunk. So hopefully you understand the concept of what we're up to here. Now you could also do a displacement. I thought about doing displacement on this with a second bowl, but then I realized you couldn't really build up all the components. If you were trying to just put it and displace it, it would just start to disappear. A little more for our trunk. Got to keep our trunk in place. A little powder in there. That's okay. Check the temperature on our resin just for yucks. You can't see it, but 66. So it's going down in temperature. It's cooling off with the room. Okay. Now, and I said I'm going to keep this lower, so I want to have a different color for the rim, like a lighter color. And yesterday I used a gold mine, a blended spin gem. And let me see. I've got to go over to, I love how when YouTube or Facebook do the captioning, they really destroy by what southern accent I have. When I say I gotta go over here and do this or get that, it's kind of funny the way they interpret it when they do their thing. Got over here. Well, we could go with turquoise, or we could go with marine blue. And what else? Sorry for the delay as I hunt for. I wish I could find that white. I don't really want to go leave y'all alone, go into the house and look for white. It got away from me somewhere. The white got away. Let's see. What else have I got? I really want white. Makes me mad. Okay, oh, I have a little bit of white. That's just going to get me around the perimeter a little bit. I wanted a lot of white. Still in the overhead. Okay, I'm on the right camera. Remember, it's a bowl. So this white, we don't need to waste our white in the center, because that's going to get turned away anyhows, as they say. Now, if I had another jar of white, I would just kind of keep really going heavy on the white here. But I'm going to run out like right about there. Okay. So that takes care of that. I'm going to doctor it with a little more pearl powder now, because we're pretty close. Like I say, I'm going to hold this one back some from what I did yesterday. And this is iridescent gold, so we're going to just put some gold throughout this whole mix and just let it do its thing. As the resin goes in, just a little bit, not a ton, just a wee little bit. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Well, just for yucks, I'll build up a little more green and a little more orange. Not that we're going to turn that away. But we don't want to forget what we were after. It looks more like a Christmas tree shape now that at the end here. You could get fancy and try and do little limbs. You know, of course, this is going to get turned away, but little spots of brown. And I should have saved some white for snowflakes. I did that yesterday. Let me get everything capped back up here now. And then we'll start to add resin to this. That's actually orange. Does it look anything like a Christmas tree? Do you think it'll look anything like that when it's done? No. But then again, it's not supposed to be exact. It's supposed to be fun. Okay, let's see. I think, do I want to add anything else? I don't know who's calling my phone, but they can wait. I think we're going to stop right there. Now again, I've got the 2-hour open time on this. So I'm stirring the resin up real good. And then I'll add it to it. And I'm going to hold up short, because yesterday I filled it right to the top. And I also filled the gems to the top. So we just kind of bring this in gently. And again, there's no other colors in the resin. Now our goal with the vacuum chamber is to get this resin all the way down through all of the SpinGems without disturbing our pattern. Now I found out yesterday that my tree is going to float, and the green floated, and some of the other colors lifted. So I'm going to stop short right there. I'm probably a half an inch away. I'll show you here on the end camera. I'm probably a half an inch away from the top of being full. Sorry if I'm reaching across in front of you there on the end camera. So again, you can see about a half an inch down right now from the top. And that's because this is going to bubble up, and when we put it in the pressure pot, or in the vacuum chamber, excuse me. So let me turn on the key and go up here. All right, so we've got it basically prepped. First round, we still have about half of our resin left over in our cup. Just set that up there. Put this guy away. Chamber. Get that underneath as best I can to where you'll be able to see. You'll be able to see it foam. Okay. So again, I'm not worried about anything going over in this pot. Now the pot's a mess already. So and then we'll just pour it back in, the extra. So I'm going to drop this guy on down in here. I cleaned my seal in theory. This is the Best Value Vax. I'm glad they've changed to purple now on the silicone ring to differentiate theirs from the rest that were orange. But this is the best value vacuum chamber. Pump is down here. Hop on the vacuum. There we go. And pop you into the overhead. Vacuum's coming up slowly. Now I'll leave this run the entire time that we're, oh, green. Sorry about that. I'll leave this run more or less the entire time that I'm turning the other piece. That'll go away in a second there when I hit the button like that. And we'll see this start to bubble and cook as it goes along, which is pretty cool. So what's happening, this is not really any different than when we are wanting to stabilize a piece of wood. So when we're stabilizing a piece of wood, and I'll leave it in the overhead so you can see it start to bubble slowly. It will bubble more aggressively after a bit. When we're stabilizing wood, we're pulling the air out of the wood and we're replacing it with stabilizing resin. In this case, we're pulling the air out and we're replacing it with casting resin. So the principle is the same, medium as far as the resin goes, but the principle is exactly the same as stabilizing your wood, except that we don't have to then heat this resin because it's already got its own reaction going to go on in there. Okay? So that's going to bubble, and it will get, I'll watch it, I'll put it down on the floor here, and when it gets real active, I'll stop turning and pop it back up here, and we'll show you. So I'm going to leave that run, and hopefully it's not too much, because I've got this on the same transformer that the lathe is on. So we're going to let that keep degassing itself, which is what this technically is referred to as degassing. And we'll go ahead and start to turn our other fun little piece. So let me hit that and that. Okay. Any questions so far? We've made our little design in our stem, our SpinGem stones. We've got it in the mold. We've got the resin on top of it. We've got it in a vacuum chamber, pulling the air out and pulling the resin down in. The first layer, we actually went ahead and pre-wetted out. If it looked like we made concrete, we wet out the SpinGems for the very base. And so now we're just going to let it keep cooking. And as I see, as I'm talking to you with the camera back on the front now, it's showing more and more of the little air bubbles. Maybe what I can do for a minute here, because I've got some fooling around to do to get ready to hold this piece, I'll just slide this off to the side, because I need to put some bowl jaws, as I disappear here, onto the Easy Chuck to hold this. Jaws that match. I hope you're enjoying the Santa hat as much as I am. Okay. Easy. And like I said, we're going to put jaws on here to hold this piece till we can get a tenon or a recess. Probably a tenon. I may make a recess today. Who knows? To hold it, turning. I got a mishmash, if that's the right word, of buttons on here. But we'll get her all set up. And ready to roll. Yeah, I'll bet you, yeah, I can slide this over here real quick and you can see the difference. You can see how it's starting to form the small bubbles as it's pulling the air out of the resin there. All right, so it's just going away, and those bubbles will get bigger in time. At least they did yesterday. Take this guy off of here and get this all set up. You have a loose audio cable connection. It breaks up when you bend over. Yeah, it's probably because of there's no on the belt. It probably scratched a bunch there. I'll raise it up here. That might not do it as much. Yellow, black, yeah, Art. You know me. That ain't happening. But Kevin, thank you for the update that it was crackling. My mics have a hard life. Out at the woodworking shows one time, I was walking across the show floor, had the headset on, the transmitter in my back pocket or hanging in my back pocket, and somehow it fell out on the floor in front of me. I stepped right on it and took another step and ripped all the guts right off the end of the microphone wire and out of the transmitter. Needless to say, that was $400 out the window. Okay, that'll work. I don't even have to do any adjusting today. Hey, I'm lucky. So hopefully by moving it up to my other pocket there, it takes away some of that. Let's see what we've got going on here for flatness. Running true. The lathe. Oh, it'd be good if the lathe was actually plugged in. There we go. So curious if it yeah, all microphones have a rough life, especially in an environment like this. Hopefully it didn't squawk too much when I was bent over there. All right, let's see if we can't get that a little bit flatter. The top edge is not perfect. Let me take a look here. See what we've got. So I'm going to take a really fancy adjusting tool here. I know you guys will probably cringe. But I'm just going to take this little rawhide mallet. And there's some little burrs sticking up. Again, I'm not going to get crazy about this. I don't know if it was sitting completely flat in the pressure pot yesterday, so it may be at a little bit of an angle anyway. That looks a little better. Yeah, Kevin, and I've got two sets of receiver transmitters in here. Well, that's better. It's not perfect, but that's what it's going to be. I've got two sets of these Rode microphone receiver transmitters. If one dies, I mean, I've learned that much that sometimes when you step on one or something happens, then you're out of luck. Okay, so over here, you can see the foam. Now let's go ahead and bleed this off one time and watch and see what do we look like underneath. So we haven't distorted the tree. The green hasn't distorted too much yet. Don't let me kill the key there so you guys can see. The tree is still relatively in its shape. That should change. I'm watching the delay. There's a 20-second delay. There you go. The tree is kind of sort of still in its shape. All right. And we haven't bubbled over, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the vacuum back up. And I'll go ahead and set this off very gently. And we'll start to turn some resin. So I'll put this just right over here where I can keep an eye on it. And then here in a little bit, we'll add some more resin to it because we know that it's pulling it down inside. Take our work table off of here. We got a banjo already. We need a tailstock. Get ourselves up and rolling. How am I doing on time, gang? I can't see the backside of a computer. I got my watch on still. Take it off. Noon. Okay. So we've got an hour to turn this and play with our resin. That's about right. That's all good. There we go. All right. I'm going to go. Oop! I forgot to turn on the key. You enjoy the green wall. I'm going to take the hat off because it's going to make. I don't want to get stuff all over the hat. So I will go put it in the control room because we're going to throw resin all over the place. And let me change the cameras real quick because I need to walk over, see how that looks anyway. Make sure that shot is right. I need to be able to see my other monitor. That looks okay. The end, you should be able to see things pretty well. All right, and now I can see everything over there. Tool rest. Watching the bubbles bubble down there. If I had another camera set up, I could do you a camera in camera. Here's one thing I've been thinking about. I know that I can do this. I'm kind of curious to see when I do that if it works or if it only worked in the... It should be putting it on the wall behind me. But I'll have to wait and see for a second here. It would do it earlier. I'm trying to see something here real quick. And it's not doing what I wanted it to. Okay. Well, so much for that concept. I'll see. I'll figure that one out. All right, let's get a little something up here to keep this guy from running away. Sorry, I reached in front of the camera there. I just forget where I'm at sometimes. That'll keep her from getting away by any chance. All right, now, Easy Wood Tools, carbide negative rake cutter. We're going to start out with a round cutter just to get this shaped up. I don't know if what shape this one is. I've got some fresh ones over here we'll use for the finish when we get to the finish. Get this up to the center axis. Do. All right. Face mask. Let's see how this looks when it's spinning for you. I'm sure I'm going to back that back out. There we go. She's a little wonky here and there. But we'll make it right. Take her up to the full 800 for those jumbo jaws, bowl jaws, easy jaw. Since we've got a tailstock in place. All right. Looking down here, things are looking good. I'm going to bleed that off one time. It's getting close to the edge. And bring her back up. Okay. In we go. Let's see how sharp this cutter is. Again, I haven't checked it. Kind of get things cleaned up here. One thing that's kind of funny about working with the SpinGems, so you're used to working in epoxy or polyester or epoxy or urethane resins, and then when you turn to SpinGems, which are actually polyester, well, you get that polyester smell. Can't go past the bumpers, Brad. But I'll try. I got lots of nice colors here going on. Interesting, strange pattern there on the bottom. I need to set myself up for the right chuck. A chuck. Let's see. Let's use this guy. Come around here so I don't get in the shot. Grabbing a little Supernova. It's got some small jaws on it. We'll set our calipers for this because this is a small piece, so we don't need a huge tenon. Get my little calipers out here, make a little room. I think I just put my head in the way. I apologize for that from where I had things stored. Get my little old calipers here, my fresh new ones. And we'll set ourselves a tenon size there. That looks pretty close. We can go down some. All right, so set this off to the side. Looking over to my other side over here. Everything looks good in the bubbles. All right, let's take a little bit more off with the round cutter. So that's pretty close to where I'm looking for. Okay. I'm going to grab a radiused square negative rake. One day, Doug, if he's still listening, you guys will make us a square negative rake. So we can make our tenons a little bit easier. Make sure everything's clear there before I turn that back on. And I'm going to come in from the side here. And start to lay out that tenon profile. And I'm real close, so I'm going to go ahead and flatten it out across the face. Need to go up with my tool rest because I went to a smaller tool. RPM is 843, Doug, because I'm in your easy jaws, big easy jaws. Let's see, a little bit more off of there. Now we'll cut the final tenon with the tailstock out of the way. And I'm happy with that. Gives me a little margin for error there. Okay. The big question is, do I have any dry SpinGems down inside here? Okay. So that black is disappearing, which is okay. We don't really care what the bottom really looks like all that much. Switch over now to a negative rake detail tool. Just got to find one that's set up that way. Be over here in the micros. There we go. Start to put our dovetail in there. I don't think I have one on the mid-size. I don't. I'd like the reach of a mid-size, but I don't have one set up with a negative rake in it. Looking over at my foam, we're foaming nicely. We're up to the top. Well, we're about 1/4 of an inch from the top of our mold, so we're fine there. We haven't gone over. Okay, double check everything before we give ourselves our final commitment here. Okay, we should be fine there with that. I would like to do some more shaping here a little bit, just a little teeny bit, before I take the tailstock away, just in this section right in here, because it'll be harder to get to once it's in the chuck. And earlier I tried to turn the bumpers, which doesn't work, so I'll remember not to do that. And I will come across here for fun with the radius cutter right in through here, just to clean this up a little bit more before we turn it around. This is a CI2 radius style cutter, and here I'm going to lead with the corner to smooth that out. So I'm actually leading with the corner, trying to see the bumpers and not hit the bumpers. Okay, so what that's doing for us is that's smoothing this whole section out. See, I still got that one little divot right there, so we want to get that divot out of there. Okay? Hey, Michael McEwen's in here. Good morning, Michael. How you doing, man? Again, so you have to remember, we're turning a combination of polyester and epoxy at the same time. I see I have a little void right there. I'm not surprised, considering like the whole concept. Okay. Now, let's clean up the very bottom of this tenon. We'll take the tailstock out of the way. I love these colors. You can't see them. There's wonderful colors that I've got here. Pink is like pink and black. It's kind of almost like a Halloween thing going on in the bottom here. If I put you in the overhead, you can see them. See the colors there. Tailstock out of the way. We'll come in here, clean up the very bottom of our tenon. Yeah, I haven't mentioned, it was official, went out the other day. I hadn't mentioned about the woodworking shows. The woodworking shows are not going out, at least winter 2022. I know a lot of people were wondering and what was going on, what was the deal. So finally they made that final decision on that. Okay. So, cool beans. What I'll do, I'm going to take this apart. We're going to bring the vacuum chamber up here, give you a little show of what's going on there with the foaming. Probably add some more resin to it. So I get this guy out of here. Trying to keep everything into the 2 o'clock, the 2 hour window, 12:12. Let's see. I'm having fun, even if my feet are cold. I took the Santa hat off, my feet got cold. Oh well. Having fun making a little kind of Christmas green and red candy bowl. And this guy can come off of here. Bridget is off for the rest of the week, my wife Bridget, and we're going to lunch right promptly at 1 o'clock today to start the holiday season. Okay. So I want to be done on time. But I don't want to cut you guys out of anything. So I'm going to leave this going just like it is. And I need my little riser bucket. I think that helps. It might be too much, we'll see. There we go. Okay, so I switch it to the overhead. You can see what kind of bubbles we're getting. And so yesterday, when at this stage, it was bubbling over, all right? I was going, beyond the rim. Today, it's working just fine. It's pulling all that air out. And it's not going over the rim, so I'm not spilling into my pot. That was my mistake yesterday. So here's what we want to do. Let's go ahead, bleed that down. Turn off our vacuum. We'll go ahead and add some more resin to this. We don't mind putting, and I think if it'll take it, we'll put a goodly bit of resin in here. So this has held the, chroma key, sorry guys. This has held the color much better, or the shape, excuse me, the shape much better than it did yesterday. Now out of curiosity, my resin temperature is still in the 60s, just a little thick. The resin down here, 61, 62, so it's still quite cold. We'll just add resin right into the middle here. Taking this back up to about a ½ an inch. And I'm going to leave a little bit in my container. Put our glass back on. Fire up the vacuum. Up she comes. We'll see how she does. We'll leave her up here for a minute like this, and then we'll go and start turning on this guy. Should be interesting. So you can see the difference so far. Today's working much better. So there's my brown. There's the equivalent of yesterday and today. We have a better profile. Our shape is held in there better. today so far than we did yesterday. As you progress through these experimental projects, well, that's how we learn. So you can see some pretty good sized bubbles coming up in there now. All right. And I'm going to leave that. I'm going to change a cutter on my main tool here. That one doesn't seem super fresh, and I don't want to spend a long time just beating on this. So I'm going to go, this bowl is small. I think I'm going to use a mini. So I'm going to put a fresh cutter on a mini while you're watching that bubble, so you don't have to watch me change a cutter. Is that a deal? And then I'll have a fresh CI3 and a NR negative rate cutter on here. Let's see what I'll read the post. What's going on here in the post land? Yeah, you never know. So, Mr. Dixon, since you're still here, why is it that they put the cutter and the screw down in the bottom of the package? Check that quality control up there in KY there, Mr. Dixon. Couldn't resist. For a second there, I thought maybe I didn't have a cutter. Yeah, Michael, being retired, that's a wonderful thing. So I've heard. I'll go ahead and use this glass top as my table. So foaming nicely, not going over though, from what I can see, which is good. You packaged that special for me. I'm sure you did. So let's bleed this fresh bubble off of here just for fun. I threw it on the floor. We'll put a fresh screw in this one too. Remind me, well, we're going to be probably in the end camera, so remind me to turn my key back on, so you don't have to look at the green screen. I swear it's weird because I was playing with, and I haven't had time to be out here. I've got a ton more input connections in the software where I can do pictures and pictures in pictures and all that kind of stuff. Well, thank you, Sue. Thank you for coming. Enjoy your Christmas. Happy New Year. Monday Methods will be back right after the first of the year. Gonna take a break like everybody should. But thank you for coming and have a wonderful holiday. Right, snug that guy up. So we got a fresh cutter in there now. So we're going to take this off and take her away. Put it right over here. Of course, you can't see where that is. Keep her nice and cool down there on the floor. And here's my chuck. This is a Supernova 2. Right. Spiracraft carries the Easy Wood chuck, which is what I was using with the big jaws. This is a Nova Supernova 2. We carry the Nova chucks as well. We also carry the Sorby Patriot chucks. Of course, anything coming out of England is like 7 months away right now, last time I checked. And I'm just going ahead and grabbing that lightly. I got a good fit. I'm a little open in my gap, a little bit bigger than I wanted to be. I hear a little creaking and groaning in there. Again, one of the things, this is important. I am not 100% certain of the integrity inside this piece, right? So I have resin to the outside and resin on the face, resin, you know, as I was cutting. But I'm not certain that there's not a pocket in the center that is dry, that doesn't have any resin. It's just SpinGems that didn't get saturated and permeated by the resin. So I want to be really careful and listen really well. I'm going to run a tailstock while I shape the outside of this piece to be certain. And then I'm going to listen real close and to any changes in the sound of the cutter when it's cutting as I start on the inside. And I'll be able to hear and feel if it starts to bounce or anything, and we'll stop and take a look quite a bit on the inside because it's an unknown. If we had done this in a normal fashion, I would know exactly that it was saturated completely. I don't know that right now. So doing something a little bit different, always be a little more cautious than you might normally be. You should always be cautious. Sometimes you might need to be a little bit more cautious. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the end camera and turn off the key so you don't see the window showing up. And we're bubbling nicely without foaming over the edge, which is perfect. I slid the tailstock on with the handle down, and of course it wouldn't go on. There we go. We're in the overhead. Looks like you can see that pretty well. So you'll see I'll shape this outside profile. We'll get that where we want it. Then we'll turn around and come to the inside. And so that's why it's nice to have a fresh new cutter. Now this edge here is very sharp right now. I've got lots of little chippy things to it. That's a technical term, chippy things. So we'll be careful of that. Our piece again is simmering away down there, looking nice. Now we'll bring our speed up. We'll run up to about 1,000 RPM. Guess I should check my tool height. Okay, it looks pretty darn close. I'm on a mini, so a little bit low. We want to have the cutter at the center axis of the lathe. There we go. Okay, and we're going to tilt that around to the back. I'm going to see if I can move my vacuum pump because I need to put my foot right there and not trip over the cord. I got all kinds of things going on in here today. Okay, off we go. Things looking good there. Let's clean up this mess right here first before we do anything else. Let's just get rid of those flying shards there. Now, we want to keep as much diameter, so we're going to blend from here back to what we cut earlier. Now this is not a big bowl, just a little candy bowl. A little something for around. But it's kind of pretty. It's actually pretty cosmic looking. The colors. So I'm just kind of working on the overall profile here. Then I'll, with the round tool, then I'll switch over to the radius cutter. And I need to clean my tool rest up real quick. It's got a little divot or two in it. Quick hit with the flat file. Try and get this off of there. I love this color back here. That looks cool. How we doing down here in our bucket? We're looking good. So with the resin in the vacuum chamber, I want to leave it in the vacuum chamber as long as I can in this particular format. I want to leave it in there to pull out as much air as possible. So what I'm going to do to my gauge is going to be using the digital thermometer there. And when it gets up in the upper 90s, well, let's put it this way, when it gets into the upper 90s or 1 o'clock, whichever comes first, then we'll pop it into the vacuum chamber, or the pressure pot, excuse me, and we'll call it good. So I'm just looking against the black background of the work table on the other side of the lathe here. To get the profile right. Take a look and see what we got going on here. A few little spots, specks of air pockets, which again I'm not completely surprised about, considering the method that I used. But other than that, I'm quite pleased. So I think I will switch over to a radius cutter and see if I can get finish that smoothing profile now. This one, let's see how she cuts. When this is nice, when these radius cutters are nice and sharp, it's kind of like sanding with the tool. You get a very nice finish. I'm going to move that tool rest in a little bit closer. I've got a big tool rest on here right now, but okay, I'm going to rotate that cutter. I don't think it's super fresh. Give it a fresh edge. Not going to change it because it doesn't. These don't get used. I don't use these a ton. So I'm just going to give it a quick rotation. I do tend to use the corners though, so I have to be wary of that. I actually, on these radius cutters, I like to cut with the corner sometimes. That's a little finer. Okay, that's pretty cool looking color-wise. Now you can see a little bit of it there in the camera. Don says, if you don't want the holes voids, can you fill it with CA glue and turn it smooth? Yeah, you could, Don, or actually just sand it. You could fill them. You know, you could keep turning, but some of them, I see one or two of them that are kind of deep. in this case. So yes, you could fill them with a clear CA, depending on what your finish is going to be. Like for me, it's going to be lacquer, and I could actually fill them with lacquer. Fill it, spray half a dozen coats, cut it back, half a dozen again. It'll probably fill those pock marks, and you won't see them. Okay. Now, if I could find my denatured alcohol real quick, if I could, I would show you what that looks like. But I've probably put it away somewhere else, far, far away. Okay. Let me take a quick look over here. I actually cleaned up one day. I know it's a novel concept. 1232. And that naphtha will work. Naphtha will do the trick. Looking at our bucket, we're foaming nicely, but not foaming over. Again, remember the pressure pot will take care of, theoretically, the bubbles, unless they're really big. So some of these that I'm seeing probably yesterday were pretty big. I just want to make this wet real quick for you on the top here, just so we can see the colors. This is naphtha, super clean. Oh, that's cool. I love these SpinGems. Once you cut them, they just look so interesting. So this should look pretty cool on the front side as well. The back side, I love the back side on this. We've got all kinds of different things going on in there. Sweet. All right. So let's come around to the front. Get myself organized up here a little bit. That's not the way to get organized, Brad, by throwing tools on the floor. Tailstock can come away. And we'll go to the front. Key is still off. So I will change you to the end camera. There you go. All right. And we will proceed to make this little candy bowl. Now, I know it's not going to look like a Christmas tree like I had hoped it would, but I'm still happy with from a concept yesterday afternoon. Got up from my Saturday afternoon nap, said, what am I going to do on Monday? So Sunday, I said, hey, I got this idea that came to me while I was napping. I do my best work when I'm napping. And I said, I'm going to try this idea. And so I did. And I'm quite pleased. All right, off we go. End camera, clean this up. Now I can make this as thin or thick as I want, just depending on how hard I want to work. Show you what that's starting to look like as you see. So there's our theoretical trunk of our tree, and now my tree is it's a shrub. It's a Christmas shrub. Why does it need to go in the pressure pot after being vacuumed, Dad? Because it won't have gotten rid of all the bubbles. As you see in the one on the back side of this one, as you can see, there's some voids. Now those voids may be because the resin never got there, or it could have been an air bubble. So we want to get it in the pressure pot after the fact to make sure that we compress any bubbles away that might be left over. Because once we turn it, especially on the inside, I want to look in this. I want to wet this front out again. We want to be sure that we've gotten rid of any voids that at all possible. That just kind of gives you an idea before we even get down into the walls. Some of the color mix. The backside is much more interesting at the moment. We'll see how it goes. I can drill a hole down the middle. I can work from the middle out. Doesn't really matter how I go about it. The SpinGems are the polyester is really hard, and that's the SpinGems you're hearing, kind of making all that noise. It's going to be fun to watch the layers of color come up. So I'm moving pretty quickly, and now you can start to see the different colors coming up through there. Interesting how the red kind of flowed out there because of, I did poke at this one yesterday. The one today I didn't poke at at all. So I think poking at it jostled it some. Nice colors. Now, in the sake of time, I'm actually leaning on this pretty hard. So that's a little dry right in there, not completely filled. That's kind of why it's making some of the noise that it is making, I do believe. This is some of the other white color that I had on the edges. So what I've decided to do is go ahead and do my outer profile, my wall thickness, before I take the center out. Okay. Now we'll take the center out of this. Again, the polyester is really brittle, chippy. And all the color you see is polyester. And I believe where you see the ribbons is where we have better resin penetration. Where you're seeing it just all chippy is where I didn't have as good a resin penetration. You can see that. If you can see in there, it's kind of pockmarked in there. So I think it had to do a little bit with the concentration or penetration, uniformity of the resin. So by the time I get down to the shape, I don't have much of a Christmas tree left in this. I do have a really nice pattern in the piece. I just don't have a Christmas tree anymore. Which is not the end of the world. Still a great looking holiday color candy bowl, which is what it was supposed to be in the first place. Quarter till, okay. So I'm going to turn the speed up, and I'll make one or two more passes real slow, just because of the time. And obviously, I'm not going to sand this today, so I'll get as smooth a finish across here as I can, and I'll shoot some lacquer on it, and we'll see what it'll look like eventually. So I've dialed it up to about 1500. Now a nice light cut. And turning the speed up, other than really where it really sounds like kind of pocky, I get a much better cut, and you always will. Okay. So that cut really nice. I think I'll do that one more time. I got a hump right here. So out of curiosity, let's go to 2000 and see if that pocky marks will go away. So that's a full-on 2000. Noticeable difference in the way it cuts. Much smoother, much cleaner. I'm taking a very light pass. Now, if there's any voids, that won't get rid of a void, but it makes the cut nice and smooth. And I got a little divot right from my tool in the center. Not that it really matters right now. Okay, cool beans. Trying to keep on schedule here. Let's take a look at this thing. So I'm going to leave it just like that. I am going to attempt to tilt the camera down just a little bit more and have it stay there. Okay. And then I'm going to take my favorite. I'm just going to put a quick coat of lacquer on it. Hey, it almost kind of looks like a Christmas tree right in the very center. Warped as it is, there's the there's the trunk where the trunk was. Some snowflakes on our Christmas tree. I'm happier than I thought I would be. Quite unique patterns. I'm very pleased. And I'm going to pop you in the overhead here real quick and do the same thing. Spray a little lacquer on it just so you can kind of see what it looks like. This is a really cool piece of resin. Whether it's Christmas or not, the colors and the combinations and the patterns being completely random. Oh, come on, Dad. You are the reason I'm turning. So this looks, I'm really happy with this. I like the way this looks. It was fun. It's a dolly tree. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry for reaching over in front of there. It is a dolly tree. And I'm just tickled as I can be. All right. So knock some of this off of me. I'm going to move this guy out of the way. Take one more look at our 48. We'll just set this guy right up here. I'm going to turn the key back on, turn that back on. I'm really pleased with that. That's cool. If I show you the front and the top and the overhead, I know I'll have to change the key back off. I think that looks cool. Nice and random. I'll watch it, and then the key will go away, and there you go. All right, cool beans. Okay, we'll leave that guy right up there. I'll show you what's going on in here. Overhead. So there's all the more bubbling we have going on there. I'm going to turn off the vacuum. I'm going to break the seal. And I'm going to add the last bit of resin. Pop it under a vacuum one more time, and then we'll take it and drop it into the pressure pot before we call it a day and a year and a season. We'll just spread this last little bit. We'll just put this right in the middle. And again, it's so cold out here, I could probably go to lunch and come back in an hour with this thing in the pressure pot or vacuum chamber, and it still wouldn't have started to set up yet. Just because it's so cold. Oh, the green came up on there. Sorry for the window. It'll go away in a sec there. Well, it's gone by the time I say that. As I watch, there it goes. So that's what we've got, and we're just about almost full to the top. Mom likes it. Well, good. I'm glad. Just for yucks, we'll pull the vacuum on it one more time. I got the seal dirty once I took it off. Then I got credit in the seal. Now maybe time just to put it in the pressure pot. Move that around one more time. I don't know what I got on there. Not that it matters because it's going to the pressure pot next anyway. Well, I got too much crud on it now. So because I'm out of time anyhows, 12:52. I'll pop this into the pressure pot over here, and we'll let it just do its thing in the pressure pot. I think it'll be good, and I'll do that after I sign off here, since I've had to wrestle with that and all that. Thank you very much, everybody, for a wonderful year of 2020 out here in the Spiracraft studio and Monday Methods. We don't get to get out in person, it looks like, much. We will be at AEW in June, if that doesn't get canceled. I will be here every week, every Monday that I can possibly be here. Thank you again, everybody, for coming out and joining with me here. I have a ball. I hope you learn things. I hope you pick up tips from the things that I do out here. Have a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year and all the good stuff. And I will see you early in 2022. All right, gang? So I'll flip this back to an overhead of that just for yucks as I walk over and turn things off. Alrighty, thank you, everybody. And boom, and key off. And we will see you next year. Take care now.